So it's been a minute since I filmed, but I've just been really using this month to settle into my new job. It's taken a toll on me because, it's hard when you meet so many new people and then you're in a completely different environment. My commute is actually, it's not longer, but it's difficult because it goes into central London. So it's tiring and my body's just been adjusting to the change, like both physically and mentally. But I'm here today to talk to you about the differences that I have found between being a mental health pharmacist and a acute rotational junior pharmacist, basically. I just want to say, first of all, that I love it. And I'm so glad that I have made the decision to leave mental health at this stage and be in like a rotational position in an acute hospital. But I have never felt so incompetent in my life. Like, I am usually told in community that I am quite fast. And I wasn't that fast in mental health because I didn't need to be. But I didn't feel like I was out of my comfort zone. But here in acute general health, I am so out of my comfort zone. I've never felt so lost and scared in my life, but also happy at the same time. So before I tell you about the differences, let me just tell you what I've been up to. So as soon as I start at the hospital, for those of you who don't know, band 6s are like the newly qualified level. And I went in and I didn't have, weirdly, a dispensary log, but I did have a check-in log. So I had to check 200 items in a row, and then someone else double checks me, and if I make a mistake, then I have to start all over again. And I thought, you know what, I've been qualified for a year, so there will be no issue there. But there was just so many new things that I had never ever seen that I was making errors. My checking log took a bit of time, but I would just push myself and do a lot of dispensing, because really, when you dispense, you know what you have to do because it will come back to you if it's wrong. And so I dedicated a lot of time to dispensing first, and then I tried to get my checking log out of the way. And even though my checking log was done, I still did go backwards and forwards between dispensing and checking just to make sure that I was doing the right thing and on the right track. And then I had a screening test. Now, although it sounds scary, it wasn't as scary as it sounds. It was kind of like a booklet, and I had to answer all of these questions and go over them with my manager, mentor person, who, helps me. Yeah, so it wasn't under time conditions, and I had about a week to do it. But I really struggled with that because I feel like I've just been brain dead for a year working in mental health. Yeah, it took a lot out of me, and it was really good because they make you use the on-call folder to answer these questions in the booklet, and that really showed me where things are. But still, I felt already out of my comfort zone at that point because I was like, damn, I do not know how to answer any of these questions. So yeah, it was pretty much of a big shock. I definitely feel like I'm doing pre-reg again. So if you are doing your pre-reg in hospital, I think that you are quite lucky, because although I have some hospital experience, it's just not the same as what I'm doing now. So it feels like although I've taken some steps forwards, I've also taken some steps backwards, if that makes sense. I also have my e-learning to do, which is what you have to do as soon as you join a new trust. And for that, I just asked my mentor, supervisor, manager person to have the morning. So in the mornings, I would just whack out the e-learning and just finish one, so that in the afternoon, I could be in the dispensary. Oh, and also, just a little update, I've started my diploma. Okay, so now let's talk about some specific differences that I found. So first of all, the team is much bigger. As soon as I arrived, there were like so many new faces. There's a lot more technicians, there's loads of dispensers, there's people labeling, there's people dispensing, there's like 8 pre-regs. And I absolutely loved it because when I was in mental health, there was not many band 6s, and the band 6s were all at different sites to me. So I felt really isolated. Whereas now I'm like really good friends with some of the pre-regs. I am getting to know the band 6s and the 7s. So everyone is really supportive, and it's been great. Second difference, in mental health, although we did have to check bloods to enter clozapine results, like whether they're green and red, okay to have clozapine or whatever, we didn't routinely check them, and getting bloods from the patients was difficult because they'd scream, they'd say, I don't want you to touch me and whatever. And then only certain people would have access to the blood results. In acute hospital, it's a completely different story. Checking blood results is just routine. And I'm so not in the habit of that. So we used to write stuff on the chart like check potassium, check K+, if they're on stand OK, for example. But in hospital, you don't write that because you yourself do it. Like there and then you do it. It's really hard, but also amazing. It's difficult because I'm not used to it and my brain is not into that mindset of checking bloods, but it's so good because I know that they're there. And I'm slowly picking up the habit of routinely checking patients' bloods, which I wasn't doing before. In acute hospital, I'm screening all sorts of stuff and seeing all sorts of stuff. There's stuff that's from the eye clinic. I'm asking questions all the time. I'm like, what is this for? There's so many drugs that I've never ever heard of. There's all sorts of different clinics. We have like chemo care scripts. I don't clinically screen those, but I do accuracy check them. So yeah, there's just all sorts that we're looking at, that we're checking and stuff. And I think that was completely different to mental health because, as you know, in mental health, it's pretty much you're already in a specialized lane. Whereas in this hospital, I don't even know what's going to come across me in that checking bench or the screening tray. Okay, so mental health, I had the opportunity to sit in quite a lot of MDTs. So you can go and talk to the physios, the nurses, the consultant and the doctors. So there'd be time in the morning where we'd all sit around a table and just go through everyone's chart, and anything that needed to be amended, I'd be able to tell them there and then and they could fix. Right now, as of now, I only have 2 hours on the ward in the morning, so I don't have time to go to the MDT. But equally, I'm sure that when I get to cover a ward for the whole day, I will have the time to go, but right now I don't. So that's another difference that I found. The turnover is fast. Like I thought, you know what, I'm on an elderly ward and I'm with my supervisor, so really it's going to be fine. But turnover is fast. Like in mental health, people would stay for months. As you know, a mental health illness is not just going to be fixed overnight. But in hospital, we're like, okay, how many new patients? It's like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, whatever. And I struggled to adjust to it. I think that I'm still at the mental health pace and I really need to study and gear up towards where I need to be. This is what I meant by feeling really incompetent and behind. Okay, in an acute hospital, I'm getting all sorts of queries. And that's not even by being in medicines information. It's literally just by answering the dispensary phone. And at first, I wouldn't even answer that phone. But the few times I would answer it, all sorts of queries. Like I had a nurse call me from a different hospital and ask me all about penicillin. And that's just one of the examples, but you get all kinds of queries. Half the time, I have no idea what to say and I have to just pass it on to a senior pharmacist. But I don't know. Hopefully one day I'll be able to answer some of the questions. All right, in an acute hospital right now, because this trust is not yet electronic, we're all fighting over the notes and the charts. Yeah, the doctors are on it. So if there's a new patient, they want the chart. Pharmacists want the chart. Nurses want to see the chart. So there's a lot of, not time wasted, but it's hard to look at the charts and get things done, especially within the 2 hours on the ward that I have. Whereas in mental health, although the doctor had the chart, I had the whole day afterwards to see it, and pretty much they wouldn't change for months. So I'd be screening the same thing over and over again. Whereas here, things are changing all the time. Patients are changing, drugs are changing, frequencies changing, doses are changing. Everything is changing, and then the doctor has a chart and then I don't have time to review it. And yeah, it's a lot more about time management and prioritizing, which I'm not that good at right now, but hopefully I'll be better at. Okay, now in an acute trust, you'll see so many more comorbidities. Like if there is a patient on the ward who's got HIV, we'll have to contact the HIV team. If there's a patient who has got cancer and is on active cancer treatment, then I'll have to speak to the oncology team. And previously in mental health, there wasn't much of that. If there was any kind of issue in that way, then we'd literally just send them back if they were acutely unwell to an acute hospital. Now I'm in the mindset of we are the acute hospital and the specialist teams. So it's really good in the way that you can refer and ask for help to the specialist team. I'm always going on to the oncology team and saying, this person apparently is getting active cancer treatment. What is it? Can you help me out with that? There's a lot more support, but there's a lot more pieces to the puzzle. There's a lot of pulling here and there of information, which I find hard because I'm used to just being like, okay, focusing on a few of their acute physical health meds and then mental health medication. In hospital, it's a lot more complex. There's so many more complex patients. And I'm not even on a complex ward. So I'm thinking, damn, if I'm finding this hard right now, it's going to be really hard for me. But I am trying to make use of the diploma. I'm trying to keep on top of it without panicking. It's the first time in my life where I felt like I need to come home and study. what they teach you in university is completely different to what you'll do in pre-reg, and what they'll teach you in pre-reg is completely different to what you're doing when you're qualified. So in uni, they were all about sort of mechanisms and organic chemistry and stuff like that. And then pre-reg for me was all about learning and reading the BNF. And then I came to work, and the BNF is pretty redundant, to be honest. Everyone has their own trust policies and certain procedures and stuff. So I feel like everything I've learned so far is irrelevant, although it's not. But it's all about just trying to keep up with it, really. And that's where I am. So I'm sorry that I have not uploaded for 3 weeks. But as you can tell, my brain is... I am loving every moment, but also struggling. The only way that I can stop struggling is if I put in the work. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So if you've got any more questions about Band 6 rotational pharmacists, then put them in the comments below. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot more differences that I will notice, but that's all I've got for now. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!